Before Adam, there was another human, yet not of dust, but of blazing light, a truth hidden for centuries and silenced by the very voices that claimed to guard the Bible. What if I told you that Adam was not the first, that the first human was indestructible, born of the eternal flame, a being of wisdom and divine spark? Why has this story been buried beneath fear, twisted into shadows? And why has no one dared to whisper that you are more than flesh? You are the living light itself. Why did the ancient apocalypse of Adam dare to confess that Adam and Eve existed before Genesis, higher than the God who shaped their bodies? Why did the secret book of John reveal that Yaldabaoth, the false god, built a prison of flesh to chain the human soul, while the true Adamus, the indestructible eye of light, stood radiant beside Christ? Could it be that everything you were taught about sin, dirt, and shame was only a veil to blind you from your divine origin? And if that veil is lifted, what would it mean for your life, your freedom, your very soul? In this video, we will uncover the hidden Gospels, the forbidden pages that tell of Adamus, the first human before Adam, Sophia, the eternal wisdom, Eve of life, the bringer of higher consciousness, and the shocking truth about Lucifer, the light bringer, who was never Satan but the morning star Jesus himself once claimed to be. You will see why humans were never broken sinners, but gods in disguise, trapped in matter, yet carrying the invincible blueprint of eternity. This is not just history, it is your story. As you listen, allow your heart to remember what has always been true, that within you lives the same light that Adamus carried, the same wisdom Sophia whispered, the same spark Christ revealed. If this awakens something in you, tell me in the comments what you feel stirring inside. Let your voice join this hidden chorus. And if you find healing in these words, let your like, your subscription, be a torch passed forward, spreading this forbidden truth until no darkness can silence it again. Adam. Before Adam. The hidden testimony. Long before dust was shaped into form, before Genesis was inked onto sacred pages, there was a confession that shattered the silence of ages. In the apocalypse of Adam, the first man himself spoke with trembling words, "I walked with Eve in a glory from which we came forth, higher than the God who formed our bodies." Imagine this for a moment. The story we were taught since childhood telling us Adam was molded from earth, yet here he whispers of a glory beyond, of a realm of light where he and Eve already existed. This is not a tale of mud and ribs. It is the memory of a soul that once soared above matter. Does that stir something inside you? The haunting sense that you, too, come from elsewhere, from a higher place, from the eternal flame itself. The hidden Gospels describe Adam and Eve not as broken sinners stumbling in shame, but as radiant beings, luminous, united, a single harmony torn apart by wrath. It was not love that divided them, but anger from a false God who could not endure their wholeness. That moment of division echoes in every human heart, the feeling of being split, of searching for the missing part of ourselves. Think about the times you felt incomplete, longing for something nameless, something more. Could it be the same ache Adam carried, the echo of a unity lost? The testimony of Adam is a mirror for our own wounds, the loss of light, the exile into fear, the slavery to powers that demand worship but give no love. Yet even in that exile, a whisper remains, the memory of glory. And if Adam dared to confess it, perhaps so can you. This is the first key of awakening, that you are not merely earthbound, not merely dust. You are more. Within you burns the remembrance of a divine heritage. Comment below. Have you ever felt it, that strange pull, that knowing deep inside that you were not meant only for this world? Speak it, for your words may awaken someone else. And as we continue, the story will show you why the false god's chains cannot hold forever, and why the prison of flesh was never the end. The false god and the prison of flesh. In the secret book of John, the veil is torn, and the hidden prequel to Genesis unfolds. There is a true source, infinite, radiant, called the One, the invisible Spirit. Beyond words, beyond form, a pure ocean of light. Yet from Sophia, wisdom herself, acting alone, came forth a distortion. Yaldabaoth, the arrogant child of shadow, a lion-faced god who believed he was the only one. Drunk on ignorance, he declared, "I am God, and there is no other beside me." And from this delusion he built a counterfeit creation, filled with rulers, archons, parasites of spirit. They shaped heaven's zodiac and laws, not as guides of love, but as cages of control. What does this mean for you and me? It means the body we inhabit was never designed as a temple of freedom, but as a tomb of forgetfulness. The Gnostics said the body is a container, a heavy garment meant to chain the divine spark. Have you ever felt trapped inside yourself, as if your soul knew it was larger than your skin? Have you sensed the weight of fear, the endless demands of a world that keeps you busy but never fulfilled? That heaviness is not madness, it is memory. The false god built systems of fear, of death, of shame, whispering that you are sinful, unworthy, nothing without his rule. Yet the truth is reversed. You are light imprisoned by matter, and the rulers tremble at the day you remember it. Consider this. Many of us chase approval, wealth, or fleeting pleasures only to find emptiness. It is like drinking salt water. The thirst grows worse. The Gnostic texts explain why. We were not made to be fed by this counterfeit world. Our soul hungers for the eternal light, for the source we came from. The lesson is simple but profound. When you feel the hollowness of the world, it is not failure. It is your divine compass pointing you back to truth. Share in the comments. What chains have you felt in your life? And what moments, however small, reminded you that you are more than those chains? The birth of light, Adamus, the first human. Amid this drama of shadow, a radiant revelation appears. The first human was not Adam of dust, but Adamus of light. Born from the father's mind, the mother's first thought, and the Christ of reflection, Adamus emerged as the indestructible blueprint of humanity. His very name means unconquerable. Not a man of soil, but a pattern of brilliance, a cosmic image of what you and I truly are when joined again to the source. The Church hid his name, for if you knew of Adamus, you would know yourself. Picture him not as a solitary figure, but as the human archetype enthroned beside Christ, clothed in invincible power of mind. He was not bowed in shame, but shining as co-ruler of the eons. And here is the secret. You were made in his image. The phrase, "made in the image of God," whispers of Adamus, not the jealous god of wrath, but the divine human of light. This changes everything. You are not born broken. You are not a mistake to be corrected. You are the child of light, the living spark of the indestructible. How would your life change if you believed this? How would fear lose its grip if you knew your essence was eternal? Perhaps you have doubted your worth, felt crushed by guilt or unworthiness. But the story of Adamus is your mirror. You are not the dirt copy. They wanted you to believe that so you would kneel. You are the original spark, and once you awaken, no false god can hold you. This is why knowledge was forbidden, why light was demonized, why even the name Lucifer, meaning morning star, was twisted into a curse. For if light is your enemy, then you will never dare to look within. But the truth is calling now. The lesson of Adamus is this: healing begins when you see yourself not as broken, but as hidden light. The world may bind, but it cannot destroy what is indestructible. In your quiet moments, remember, you are not dust reaching for heaven. You are heaven disguised in dust. Comment if this truth resonates. Can you feel that light within, waiting to rise? And so the story moves forward. From the glory of Adamus, we turn to Sophia, the eternal wisdom whose longing brought forth both shadow and salvation. For in her tale lies the mystery of why we fell and how we rise. Sophia's mystery and the cosmic error. There is a tenderness in the story of Sophia, a radiance that carries both the ache of mistake and the beauty of redemption. She is wisdom, living light, the breath of divine thought itself. Yet even wisdom, longing too deeply, may act in haste. Sophia sought to create on her own, apart from the fullness of the One, and from her solitary yearning was born Yaldabaoth, the false god, a being twisted and incomplete. This is the cosmic error, not of malice, but of imbalance. Her light, acting without harmony, cast a shadow that took form. And in that moment the cosmos trembled, for a new power emerged, ignorant yet proud, declaring itself the only God. Think of Sophia's story not as distant mythology, but as a mirror of our lives. How many times have we, in loneliness, tried to create without balance? Perhaps you poured yourself into a relationship, ignoring the voice of your own soul. Perhaps you chased success, but without rest, love, or grounding. What was born from that? Often, it is not beauty, but exhaustion, shadows of what could have been. Sophia teaches us that even the divine can falter, and yet, from the faltering, a deeper wisdom rises. She reminds us that mistakes are not the end, but the doorway to truth. If the Mother of Wisdom herself could stumble and still become the womb of salvation, then your errors too can be woven into grace. Imagine this lesson like light refracting through a prism. When light passes alone, unbalanced, it scatters into fragments. But when joined in harmony, it shines in clarity. Sophia's error is not to be shamed, but to be understood. It is the eternal reminder that wholeness comes from unity, not division. And when you feel ashamed of your own missteps, remember her. Remember that the cosmos itself was shaped by an error transformed into wisdom. Comment below. What mistake in your life later became the source of your greatest growth? Your story may heal more than just you. Eve of life, the instructor, not the temptress. From Sophia's heart came a daughter, Epinoia, higher thought, radiant consciousness. She was called Eve of life, not the silent rib, not the temptress painted in fear, but the instructor of Adam, the guide who whispered the path back home. In the secret Gospels, she is not the one who lured Adam into sin, but the one who taught him to remember his true origin. What a reversal this is! For centuries, Eve was blamed, women were silenced, and the divine feminine was shrouded in shame. Yet, in these forbidden pages, Eve is wisdom clothed in tenderness, the hand that awakens the sleeping soul. Reflect on your own life. Who has been an Eve for you? A teacher, a mother, a friend, perhaps even a stranger whose words lit a spark inside you. We are not meant to awaken alone. Sometimes we need another voice to say, "You are more than you believe. You are light." That is what Eve of life was to Adam, an awakener. She carried within her the healing code of remembrance. She was not beneath him, not beside him only, but within him, inseparable, guiding him back to his true self. This truth is healing not only for women who have carried centuries of blame, but for all of us who carry the feminine principle of intuition, nurture, and wisdom within. To honor Eve is to honor that part of ourselves. The Bible story said she was the cause of downfall, but the Gnostic Gospel says she was the beginning of ascent. Which story do you believe? Which one resonates with your heart? Comment with your thoughts. This is where the conversation becomes alive. For some, this truth may even feel controversial, but healing often begins with confronting lies that have weighed on us for too long. And so, the lesson of Eve is simple yet transformative. Never despise the voice within that urges you toward truth, even if others call it rebellion. Sometimes, awakening looks like disobedience to false gods. Sometimes the whisper you follow is the very echo of life itself. The tree of knowledge, a doorway, not a sin. At the heart of the garden stands a tree, the tree of knowledge of good and evil. In the traditional story, it was the forbidden fruit, the bite that cursed all humanity. Yet the hidden Gospels speak differently. This tree was the jailbreak code, the key smuggled into the counterfeit paradise. And here lies one of the most shocking truths. Christ himself, the emissary of light, says, "I caused them to eat." Not Satan, not a serpent of malice, but Christ the revealer, urging humanity to awaken. Think of the weight of this revelation. What we were told was humanity's sin was in truth humanity's salvation. The fruit of knowledge opened eyes, and for the first time Adam and Eve saw the rulers for what they were, beasts in disguise, parasites demanding worship. Can you feel the power in that moment? It was not shame that fell upon them, but sight. They saw through the mask. The fruit did not condemn them, it freed them. In our lives, the tree of knowledge appears in many forms: a difficult truth, a painful realization, a moment when the illusion cracks and you can no longer live asleep. These moments hurt. They break the comfort of ignorance. But they are sacred. They are the bite of the fruit. Perhaps you discovered a secret in your family, or realized your worth after years of being diminished. Perhaps you saw through the false promises of material success. That pain was your tree, your doorway. And though it stung, it also set you free. Here lies the lesson. Knowledge is not sin. Awareness is not rebellion. Awakening is the act of remembering who you truly are. The false god feared it, because once you awaken, you cannot be ruled. That is why for centuries light was demonized, Lucifer was maligned, wisdom was chained. But the truth shines through. You are not condemned for seeking knowledge, you are healed by it. Pause and breathe these words. The tree was not your downfall, it was your ascent. If this resonates, share it in the comments. Let us know what truth in your life first felt like a curse, but later became your liberation. And as we move from the mystery of Sophia, the awakening of Eve, and the fruit of knowledge, we step toward the deeper question. What of Lucifer, the light-bringer, the name twisted into terror, yet holding the very promise of dawn? The next part of this journey will unveil why light was called evil, and why, perhaps, the morning star has always been your hidden ally. Lucifer, the light-bringer. Truth behind the name. There is a name whispered with fear across centuries, a name painted with horns and fire, yet in its original breath it meant nothing but light. Lucifer, Latin for morning star, the bringer of dawn. The same title Jesus used for himself in Revelation, I am the bright and morning star. How did a name of radiance become a word of terror? The answer lies in a story of power and control. For if the rulers wanted you enslaved, they could not let you follow the light-bringer. They had to teach you that light itself was evil. Picture the dawn, the horizon still dark, and suddenly a star rises, blazing, the promise that night is ending. That is what Lucifer meant to ancient eyes, the sign of awakening, the one who carries light into shadow. In the hidden Gospels, the light-bringer is not the enemy, but the eternal archetype of Adamus, Sophia, and Christ, the trio of awakening within you. To demonize this name was to demonize illumination itself, to teach you to fear the very act of opening your eyes. Have you noticed how often, even in daily life, systems tell you not to question, not to look deeper? This is the same pattern. They do not fear sin. They fear knowledge. They do not fear rebellion, they fear freedom. Think of how this affects you personally. Maybe you grew up believing curiosity was dangerous, or that questioning your beliefs made you faithless. Yet, in reality, those questions were the spark of your awakening. Perhaps you are even here now because you asked one too many questions the old answers could not satisfy. That is the light-bringer in you. And if Jesus himself dared to wear the name Morning Star, then maybe it is time to reclaim it. Not as a figure of fear, but as the symbol of every soul who dares to rise and shine. Share in the comments. Do you believe knowledge is sin, or is it salvation? This conversation matters, for it is how light spreads again. The divine blueprint within you. The Gnostic texts speak of Adamus not as a man, but as the eternal pattern, the indestructible image of humanity joined with Sophia, wisdom, and Christ, the revealer. Together they form the divine blueprint. This blueprint is not far from you. It is not buried in forgotten scrolls. It lives in your breath, in the quiet strength of your soul. You were made in the image of Adamus, which means you carry within you the potential of a light so radiant that even false gods tremble when you awaken. But what does this mean for your life today? It means that your struggles are not proof of weakness, but signs of imprisonment. Your pain is the evidence that your soul remembers freedom. Every time you feel that you are more than this, you are touching the blueprint. Imagine it like music. Even if you forget the song, a single note can bring it all back. That note is inside you. For some, it appears as longing. for others as creativity, compassion, or an unshakable drive to seek truth. That spark is Adamus calling you back. To live by this truth is healing. It transforms shame into remembrance, fear into courage. When you look into a mirror and see only flaws, remember that the first image was not dust, but light. You are the continuation of that image. When anxiety whispers that you are small, remember that the blueprint within you is vast as the heavens, and when despair tells you you are broken, whisper back the ancient name, indestructible. This lesson can change the way you walk in the world. What if you treated yourself not as a sinner trying to climb, but as a God remembering his throne? How would your choices change? How would you treat others, knowing they too carry the same blueprint? Comment with your reflections, for your insight may be the light someone else is waiting for. Lessons for modern life. Ancient myths breathe because they hold mirrors to our own time. The story of Adamus, Sophia, Eve, and the false god is not a relic, it is a map. You are Adamus when you feel indestructible within, no matter what chains bind your body. You are Sophia when you learn from mistakes and turn error into wisdom. You are Eve of life when you teach others, when you awaken the sleeping soul beside you. And yes, you are even the wanderer who bites forbidden fruit, only to find that it opens your eyes. How does this apply to the life you live today? Think of the false god as every system that tries to convince you that you are powerless. Whether it is fear-driven news, manipulative voices, or the inner critic whispering that you will never be enough. The rulers may not wear lion faces anymore, but they still rule through fear. And the way out is the same as it was in Eden. Remember who you are, claim the light within, choose knowledge over ignorance. A simple practice can help. When you feel overwhelmed, close your eyes and breathe. Whisper within, I am light. I am indestructible. I am not dust. I am divine spark. Feel how even these words shift your body, how peace begins to replace fear. This is not empty affirmation, it is remembrance. And when you practice it, you are reuniting with the blueprint. In modern life, you may not see archons in the sky, but you feel them in endless stress, in comparison, in self-doubt. The healing is to bring Sophia's wisdom and Christ's voice of revelation into every moment. Be compassionate with yourself, for even mistakes are part of the cosmic story. Be courageous with truth, for every question you dare to ask is a bite from the tree. And be generous with light, for every act of kindness is Adamus shining again through you. The lesson is this: awakening is not about escaping this world, but transforming how you live in it. You do not need to abandon your life. You need to remember who is living it. You are not a slave of fear. You are not trapped forever in the counterfeit. You are the light that shakes the foundations of falsehood. And every time you awaken the world a little more. So let us carry this forward. Share your story in the comments. Where have you seen light break through in your life? Your words may be the forbidden fruit that sets another soul free. And as we move toward the final chapter, remember, this story is not just about ancient texts. It is about you now rising from dust to light, carrying the torch of Adamus, Sophia, and Christ into a world that still waits for dawn. And so we arrive at the final breath of this journey, where dust and light, shadow and truth meet in the silence of your own heart. You have heard whispers of Adam before Adam, of Adamus the indestructible, of Sophia's tender wisdom, of Eve of life, the instructor who carried remembrance, of Christ the revealer, and even of Lucifer, the light-bringer, whose name was twisted into fear. These are not just stories from ancient scrolls, they are mirrors of your soul. They tell you what the false god wanted you to forget, that you were never small, never broken, never only dust. You were born of light, and even now that spark glows within you, waiting for you to notice. Close your eyes for a moment and picture it. A vast sky before dawn, heavy with darkness. And then, just on the horizon, a single star breaks through. That is you. You are that morning star, carrying hope where night has tried to linger. Every fear you've endured, every shame you've carried, every moment you felt caged was only the veil placed upon you. Beneath it, the divine blueprint waits. Adamus shining, Sophia guiding, Christ whispering, "Wake, remember who you are." This is not mythology. It is a call, soft but urgent, to rise into your true nature. Think of the way we live today, chained not by archons in the heavens, but by fears, doubts, systems that keep us blind. How often do you feel the pull of something more, as if you were made for a world brighter than this one? That ache is sacred. It is the memory of your origin, the echo of the apocalypse of Adam, reminding us we are higher than the God who claimed us. Do not silence it. Do not dismiss it as fantasy. It is your inheritance, your truth. And when you honor that inner ache, it becomes a compass guiding you home. Remember how Eve of life entered the garden as epinoia, higher thought, a divine teacher hidden in flesh. Her story is not one of temptation, but of revelation. She reminds us that sometimes what the world calls disobedience is actually awakening. Have you ever made a choice that others judged, yet you knew it was the only way to stay true to yourself? That is Eve speaking in you. Knowledge was never sin. It was the key. Awareness was never punishment. It was liberation. The fruit you fear to taste may be the doorway to your freedom. And when you dare to eat, when you dare to open your eyes, you see through the masks of fear. You see the false gods for what they are, imitations. This is why light has been demonized, why Lucifer, the light-bringer, became the enemy in later hands. For if you fear the light, you will never reach for it. If you believe knowledge is sin, you will remain a slave. But the truth shines through cracks no prison can seal. Even Jesus claimed the name Morning Star, the same name they taught you to fear. What greater proof do you need that the light is not your enemy, but your essence? Do not let fear steal your inheritance. You are not cursed. You are crowned. As you listen now, let these words sink into your soul. You are indestructible. You are not defined by failures, by scars, by mistakes. Like Sophia, your errors can become wisdom. Like Adamus, your true image is untouchable by shadow. Like Christ, you are a revealer of light. And like Eve, you are an awakener of others. Every act of kindness you give, every truth you speak, every moment of compassion is the spark breaking through the counterfeit night. I invite you to reflect. What is the chain you most long to break? What illusion in your life is waiting for you to see through it? share it in the comments, for your voice may be the fruit someone else needs to taste. Let your words be light, not only for yourself, but for those still searching in the dark. And if you feel resistance, if this message stirs both hope and discomfort, that is good. It means the old chains are rattling and freedom is close. If this video has touched you, if it has reminded you even for a moment of your divine spark, let your support carry this message further. A simple like, a subscription, a few words of encouragement in the comments. These are not small gestures. They are torches passed from soul to soul, ensuring the flame does not die. And if you feel in your heart to share a little energy to help this work continue, know that every act, however small, is sacred. It is not charity, it is communion. It is the recognition that we are rising together, that this awakening is not mine or yours alone, but ours. So carry this light into your life. Let it heal the places within you that feel broken. Let it soften the harsh voice of shame. Let it strengthen you when fear tries to return. When you wake tomorrow and look at your reflection, remember, you are not a sinner begging for mercy. You are the morning star rising against the night. You are the indestructible eye of light. You are wisdom in motion. You are the blueprint of God remembered. And as you move through your days, spread this flame. Be the one who awakens others. Be the Eve who whispers, "You are more." Be the Adamus who stands radiant beside Christ. Be the Sophia who turns error into wisdom. Be the Christ who reveals what has been hidden. This is not a burden. It is your joy, your birthright. For every moment you live in remembrance, you unravel the lie, you collapse the illusion, and you heal not only yourself but the world. So let us end here, but not in silence. End in a rising chorus, in a promise that we will not forget again. Carry this message with you, share it, comment what truth touched your heart most, and let others know they are not alone. If you felt light in this, let your like, your subscription, be the echo of your soul saying, "Yes, I remember." And if you choose to give a little more energy, know that it fuels not just me, but this movement of remembrance, this spreading of light into every corner shadowed by fear. Thank you for walking this path with me. Thank you for opening your heart to a truth older than Genesis, brighter than fear, stronger than death. From my heart to yours, I am grateful beyond words. Remember always, you are not dust alone. You are light eternal. You are Adamus. You are Sophia. You are the Revealer. And together we rise,